Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to share with you my recommendations for JRPGs to pick up on the 3DS. Let's check it out. The Nintendo 3DS is surprisingly a glorious destination for JRPGs and RPGs. Not often seen that way. So in today's episode, I want to go ahead and just kind of narrow it down to the top games that I think you should own if you're a fan of JRPGs before the stores close. Let everyone know down in the comments what games are must-owns for you. Now to start off this list, we have Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. This is an exclusive port to the 3DS, the localization. The original game came out on the Saturn, I believe, and I'm going to tell you, for me personally, this is the best game in the SMT series and the Persona series that happens before the press turn battle system was implemented. I think it is a retro game. It has a lot of incredible early internet charm to it. The soundtrack is banging. The characters like Nemissa and all the members of Spookies, I love them. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. And I think that even though the combat is a little archaic, it's still enjoyable today. So I highly recommend picking this one up. And I really think you're not going to go wrong with picking up any Fire Emblem that's on the 3DS. And that's going to be, Fire Emblem Fates, Conquest, and Birthright, Fire Emblem Echoes. But I really recommend, if you can only pick up one and you're new to the series, definitely pick up Awakening. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions on that, but for me, who got into the series with Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I wouldn't really call myself an SRPG connoisseur, I think Awakening is a great entry point to the pre-Three Houses era. Obviously, like Shadows of Valentia is great. Conquest, you just have these wild, incredible characters and great combat. I really believe, though, that with Awakening, you're going to have iconic characters, emotional story in all of them. There's a lot of high stakes in all of these games, but the combat really just kind of came into a new zone with Awakening that I feel like just really hit notes for a lot of people. Now, coming in next, we have Project X Zone 1 and 2. I think these games are easily missable, but if I believe right now, these are actually still decently affordable physically as well. But they have a really fun combat system, and it's designed by Monolith Soft. Now, if you've heard me in the past, whether it be on Twitter or live streams, talk about Super Robot Tyson, OG Saga, Endless Frontier for the DS, you will know how cuckoo bananas I am for that game. And if you like that game, or you're interested by that game, definitely check out Project X Zone 1 and 2. The combat is really unique. And again, it's just a fun, kind of fan fiction game. I mean, yeah, it's silly, but it's just really good fun. And it's a very good game to have handheld. Definitely check these two out. Another random game for a lot of people that has actually been ported to Switch is Code of Princess. This is a really, fun, RPG. It's kind of a side-scrolling brawler, very unique. I've never played another side-scrolling beat-em-up like this one before. The characters are over the top. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have some fan fiction, but really, it's a fun time, and it's really not that hard. Once the game clicks with you, you're really gonna just kind of chug along. And I think it's fun. And if you're interested in this, the Switch port for it looks just fantastic. I mean, it looks better. If you could only choose one over the other, yeah, you probably want to pick it up on Switch. Physical copies of this one are going up. However, if you can pick this up digitally, I don't think you're going to be wasting your money. Now, I got two games back to back that are actually ports of very famous games that run shockingly well on the Switch. And the first one is Xenoblade Chronicles. The 3DS version is unimaginably good. I mean, it has no right. Now, I do need to preface this. You do need a new Nintendo 3DS XL, the biggest model, whatever, for memory and stuff like that to run this. But really, yeah, it takes a graphical hit, but it's there. And really, it was my first introduction into the Xenoblade games. I didn't beat Xenoblade first on this. That would definitely still be when I got it on the Switch, but it's really kind of an interesting part of gaming history. It plays really well, and I recommend it. If you have access to this, definitely pick it up and try it out. And also, Dragon Quest VIII. This port is unbelievably good. Funny enough, the first time I actually got to really play and experience Dragon Quest VIII was on the 3DS, and it runs beautifully. The graphics, it handles great. Once you kind of get used to the L and R button movements and such like that to move the camera, it just clicks. Gorgeous cast of characters. Honestly, some of the most iconic characters in all of JRPGs are in Dragon Quest VIII. It's got that tried and true battle system, and the story is just a beautiful tale. It just kind of gives you that childlike wonder, makes you feel like a kid again, and you get to just laugh and have a great time with a super classic JRPG on mobile. And that to me is just incredible. You know, you just get cozied up on the couch and you're playing history, and it's just a blast. It holds up really well. Don't miss out on Dragon Quest VIII on the 3DS. Now, you all know I am a Persona fanatic, so I definitely have to mention Persona Q1 and 2. Now, if you are new to these games, I do want to preface this. These are first-person dungeon crawlers. However, they're some of the most enjoyable that you're going to have. I mean, if you've tried dungeon crawlers before and they haven't really clicked with you, you know, I would look at more gameplay footage of this, but I think you're not going to go wrong in picking these up. I mean, there's Persona Q2, I believe, is the last official released 3DS game. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments, but they just look great. The characters, the charms, all there. Again, it's like a fan fiction mashup. You know, the first one has Persona 3 and 4 characters together, and then the last one, they throw in Persona 5. I wonder if they're going to do another one of these for Persona 6. What about you? Have you played the Persona Q games? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, in my opinion, if you're only willing to give one first-person dungeon crawler a chance, then it has to be Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux on the 3DS. Now, I know some people get a little antsy when people throw in these lists, games that originally came out on the DS or their ports or remakes. In my humble opinion, the 3DS ports and remakes are god tier. And I think it would be a disservice to just ignore them because of that. And for me personally, I got into the 3DS kind of, I want to say 2016 or 17. And really, I would be kicking myself if I didn't pick up these. So for me personally, I did get into the 3DS kind of late. I didn't go crazy nuts collecting for it. But the Persona and SMT games and the JRPGs on the 3DS, it gets overlooked quite a bit. You know, what it lacks in this giant library of JRPGs, it makes up for in stellar quality. And Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, in my opinion, is the best SMT storyline, bar none. I consider it a horror game that's a first-person, turn-based game. It's really quite an experience. The story is haunting. The situations are unnerving. The added voice acting, it is Japanese with English subtitles. The soundtrack, I love. A lot of people call it repetitive or whatnot. I just consider it to have grand orchestrated songs that just really hit hard. And again, the dialogue and interactions between all the characters feels very real and visceral. This is not a cutesy JRPG. You're not going to get any fan, service in here unless you have a weird attachment to certain demon party members. However, don't miss out on Strange Journey Redux. Definitely pick this one up digitally if you can. And if you are open to first-person dungeon crawlers, I feel the difficulty options in this game make it approachable to newer fans of the games. I think it's without a doubt the hardest turn-based game I've ever played, and the true end boss of the Redux added storyline is pretty viciously hard, but that's totally optional. You don't even have to do that. But really, just don't sleep on Strange Journey. Now, keeping in line with the SMT universe, I mentioned before I'm not the biggest into the SRPG genre. However, Devil Survivor 1 Overclocked and Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker are without question my top 2 favorite SRPGs ever made. These are unimaginably good. They have no right to be as good as they are. It is the perfect blend between the press turn battle system and strategic tactics-based combat. You're going to have different demon abilities that you're going to be able to mesh together. You have these high stakes that if you don't make the right decisions, your party members will die. I mean, the stakes are high. The story is mature and on point. There are moments of levity sprinkled throughout the first game. And, the second one is definitely closer to probably a Persona game in its character design and storytelling than the others, but they're still extremely dark, both of them. And I love these games. I think the graphics, the sprite work is just bar to none. I love these games. I cannot recommend these enough. And if you're a fan of SRPGs, definitely check them out. And if you're new to SRPGs and just kind of a little intimidated by these massive like tactics-based stuff, if I can beat these games, you can. And I highly recommend giving them a go. If you're interested, if you think, hey man, these characters look great, the storyline looks really interesting to me, don't be too off-put by it. A lot of the community can really hype up the difficulty of these games, and while they are difficult, there is a wealth of knowledge online to be able to help you surmount any walls you might come across. So definitely give Devil Survivor 1 and 2 a shot. Then we come to the last 3 games that I want to recommend. And I think if you are a fan of turn-based JRPGs, Shin Megami Tensei 4 is one of the most refined, glorious gaming experiences ever. SMT 4 is a work of art. The characters are well made. In my opinion, it is still by far and away the best SMT game. I loved 5, but SMT 4 just really crushes it with its storyline and characters. The voice acting in English is even on point. The balancing of the game isn't as good as like SMT 5 or even its highly controversial sequel, but it's still an incredible game. SMT 4 is definitely an eerie video game, and I just believe that if you are someone who is open to a mature JRPG, really look no further than SMT 4. I consider it to be arguably the best game on the 3DS. Now, SMT IV Apocalypse is its highly controversial sequel. You're going to hear a lot of hate bait on this one. I just want to say this. SMT IV Apocalypse, I believe, is a great game. It's just not a good sequel to 4. The characters are definitely more lighthearted and lean harder into anime tropes than should be allowed in the SMT games. However, the balancing to combat is honestly nigh perfect. Choosing routes is much easier in this game. It's borderline simplified, almost too much. It's really a great entry point difficulty-wise into the series, but again, it is not what people would consider the truest in tone and in delivery for its story. But in terms of gameplay, exploration, and combat, SMT IV Apocalypse slaps, and it slaps hard, and I'm sure I triggered somebody in the comments, but hey, check it out for yourself, and let me know what you think. But for people out there who are curious if they could only pick up one video game for the 3DS, if you have things going on and you only want to shell out enough cash for one video game, there can be only one that I can recommend, and that is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology for the 3DS. Yes, I know this is a port of a DS game. However, it expands and refines so much to this. It is the definitive way to experience it. I know some people got upset by the character portrait changes that Atlus did. I definitely don't like a lot of Atlus's DLC additions they bring to any of their games. However, Perfect Chronology is one of my favorite stories in all of gaming. It's in my top 5 favorite games of all time. The cast is impeccable. Their character arcs gripping and just emotionally devastating at times. I was moved. I was enthralled by this story from start to finish. The combat is unique. It is fun and addictive. Really, there's just no way around it. I think Radiant Historia is a must-play for anyone who says they are a fan of the JRPG genre. Stock is my favorite hero in all of JRPGs. The cast and crew for this are just lovable. I care about each and every one of them. The story is very mature, and it's a story that deals with time travel, but it's handled in the most brilliant way I've ever seen in a video game. It's one of those games that has a bunch of multiple different endings. However, you're able to access story routes from just about anywhere in the game. It's really a joy to experience. This is one of those games to where you're not going to feel obligated to look up a guide. However, it does provide a great challenge. It's very approachable. Great difficulty setting and sliders for those who are looking for a harder challenge or maybe a little bit more of a casual playthrough. It's the real deal. It really flew under the radar for a lot of people, and it just about did for me too. I picked it up on a whim when it came out, and really one of the best decisions I've ever made in gaming. Do not miss out on Radiant Historia. These are just my personal opinions. You know, I don't have the craziest budget in the world. I can't just pick up a game on a whim and try it out. So let everyone know what you highly recommend and that one game you think is a must-own down in the comments. Hey, we're all banding together here with the 3DS and Wii U stores closing. And let me know if you'd like to see another video of this. I wasn't able to fit in all the non-JRPGs or RPGs that I absolutely love on this list, so let me know if you'd like to see more of these in the coming weeks. But like this video if you liked it. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I will see you all next time.